I am so sorry. I didn't even realize what my hair looked like before I went live. Because normally I don't go live with my face forward. So anyway, I am working on getting it up on my page here. Oops, that was a mistake. I didn't want to do that. Let me go back here and let me just get, sorry, trying to get myself organized. My daughter literally just called me to talk, and I had to tell her that I was about to go live, and so I didn't get my extra couple of minutes in. Okay, so let me see if I can get myself live over here. There we go. So I can see, make sure my volume is down. All right, so we are live. All right, so National Scrapbooking Day is today. And I have 3 layouts that I'm going to try and get done in the next 3 hours. So we'll see how that goes. I am using some sketches that I created, and I am going to give you hopefully a couple tips and techniques maybe that you did or did maybe you knew but forgot about. And we are going to have some fun scrapbooking on National Scrapbooking Day. I do want to say 2 things. One, the annual catalog for Stampin' Up! Ends on Tuesday, or ends actually midnight on Monday, 11:59 p.m. on Monday the 5th. And the new catalog, which I do have here, so this is the new catalog, and I can only show you the front until the 6th, but I do have some products that I'm going to be using from that on the 3rd layout. That goes live on May 6th. And that is all the brand new products and some carryover products and things that you might see from this catalog do carry over into the next catalog. The other thing is that today is the last day. They had a 2-day special for National Scrapbooking Day, which is double the Stampin' Rewards points. So Stampin' Rewards are brand new. They are they replace the Hostess program, and they are for earning points on anything over $20 that you place an order for. So you get 10% anything over $20. So if you order $20, you get $2. If you order $250, you get $25. Hopefully that makes sense. But you do have to sign up for it. It's not automatic. So you have to make sure that you are signed up to receive Stampin' Rewards when you go into your profile. So that was announcement number 2. And that ends tonight. So it's just through today to get those double Stampin' Rewards points. So I think those were the 2 big announcements. If I remember if I had a 3rd one, I will let you know. But I think those are the 2 big things that I wanted to talk about. All right, so what I want to do is I am going to flip you guys around, and we're going to take a look at the 3 projects that I'm going to create and go through in the next few hours. So let me flip this around and put you up on my stand and just make sure that everything is looking good over on the other side. So it does take a second for it to show up over on my other screen and make sure that everything looks good. All right. Actually, for once, it actually looks pretty good. All right, so I have 3 projects that I mentioned in my posts. So the first project is going to be using the paper set. Now I can't remember the name of the paper set. What is it called? It is called Cute as Can Be. So this is the Cute as Can Be, and I am doing a very literal interpretation of this paper and using the hexagons that are part of the meant to be die set. So we are going to use these hexagons, and I really like hexagons because I think they're useful across a lot of things, but there's also lots of other great pieces, die cuts that are part of this that we will be using. So that's the meant to be, and there is a stamp set Be My Valentine, or Meant to Be, is the stamp set that goes along with this. Now this is on the last chance section of the website. So anything that wasn't carrying over from the old catalog to the new catalog, or was part of a previous mini catalog, is in the last chance section. So this is in the last chance section. There is another kind of combination for something very similar. Be My Valentine and the punch that is the bee punch. These are carrying over in the new catalog. So these will be available. The Be My Valentine and the punch, I believe, are carried over. I will double check that because I feel like maybe I might have that wrong. But I know for sure that this is not carrying over. So so I really wanted to use it since I had the paper, and my goal this year, as best as I can, is I really want to use up my papers and not have them laying around because they go out of style. Things I liked 5 years ago, I may not like anymore. And so I really want to use up my paper. Okay, so this is layout number 1 that we're going to do. Layout number 2 is using the Ocean Friends paper, as well as I might be pulling in some of the Country Woods paper. I'm trying something. I'm not sure I'm going to like it when I lay it out, but I've pulled out both of those. So this is the Ocean Friends, and this is a layout that we're going to use. And I am planning on using the dies. We might use the stamps, I'm not sure yet. And the Friendly Goals, I thought I'd pull out and see if I could use it. Again, all of these are part of the retiring last chance. So that's all, that'll be layout number 2. And then layout number 3 is I'm actually going to be using new paper from the catalog that launches on the 6th. And this paper is called, just pulling out the little sheet in the back, is called Floral Impressions. And so we're going to be using this paper and the accompanying die set that is also part of this. So Impressions of Bloom and both stamp and die sets. So we'll probably be using both of those. All right, so that is just a quick intro to what we're going to be looking at and working with the next few hours. And I am hoping that you guys will find something fun and exciting that you like out of these 3. So I'm going to just set aside these other 2, and we're going to get going working on this particular layout. Now, I've done a lot of prep work to try and make it a little bit faster. So I've done all of my matting of the photos. You'll notice I've got 4x6 photos, and then I've got a 3x4 photo. I did have this 3x4 already matted on the honey, what is this? Honey butter. I am still using the Close to My Heart papers for my cardstock because I have so much cardstock from Close to My Heart that I really just want to keep using up as much as I can without going out and buying a whole bunch of new cardstocks. So before I do that. So again, trying to use up my stash, trying to make the investment that I made worthwhile, and using that up. And I can find close enough colors that it really, you can't tell the difference or it doesn't show up. But I'm not sure if I want to use all black mats or if I want to stick this one in. So I've got an extra one there for that. So we're going to just set these aside. And then what I did is I took out my papers that were part of this collection. And so I'm going to just pull these guys out. And like with all the collections, there's both front and back sides. And what I did, sorry, just trying to get myself somewhat organized here, is I pulled out the papers. Let me just pull out the rest of these because I wanted to kind of walk through this. What I did is I took a look at the papers that were here. And there is a front and a back side for all of these papers. And what I did is I took a look and I tried to match up the papers that I thought would best work for this hexagon design. And then also with the fact that I knew I wanted to take the hexagons and I wanted to have two different sizes. So from the hexagon dies, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sizes, and I'm using the two smallest sizes here for this. And so what I wanted to do is I really wanted to look at the different papers and decide which ones really went together the best. And so there, you know, you've got some really big prints. These guys are really big. And I didn't feel like when you got the hexagon shape on top of it that it worked out the best. I felt like these smaller ones worked better than the bigger ones. And so what I did is I took a look at the back sides and I decided that I thought the flowers would work really well with this design, so I did some of the flowers. I pulled out the green, which is this green that looks like the lines of a bee flying around. And then I took the smaller bee paper here, this one, and I did these as well. So I did 3 of those. I then mounted them all on this one is one of the in colors, Petunia Pop. This is Petunia Pop. But when I looked at it, I really wasn't fond of this green. So we may end up making a change to this. I'm not sure if I like this or not. I might come in and maybe grab some of this, but we will see. I might like it once we lay it out. So anyway, that's how I came to the conclusion of which pieces I wanted. One, I knew which size hexagon I was going to use, and so I could take that hexagon, take this hexagon as an example, the smallest hexagon, and I could lay it on top and see how much of that picture or of that image was going to show, and that's what sort of led me to using this paper and this paper. I didn't really like the hearts all that much, but I may end up switching my mind on that. I really wanted a more green color. I feel like this old olive doesn't really go as well with the Petunia Pop. But we'll see when we lay everything else out if I still think that's the case. All right. So the other thing about these hexagon dies is that they do the inside cut and the outside cut. So I ended up with a lot of these outside cuts here that I just stuck back in my envelope to use on another project on another day. So there's that. Okay, so that's sort of the prep and the design ideas that I had with this paper. Again, I still have a ton of this paper left, so really going to have to come up with some good ideas for using the rest of it. Okay, so the other thing that we have is the sticker sheet. I did buy this paper pack with the sticker sheet, and I'm not sure if we're going to use it or not. I did cut out the Our Hive from the die set. Again, there is Our Hive, and it's got both the inside and the outside. So I did cut that out. But when I lay this out, I might actually like one of these other titles. I've also got a nice journaling block here. I've got some other bees that I can use. So we'll see if we use this as part of it as we finish designing this up. Okay. All right. So this is my sketch. I've got hexagons here, and what I tried to do with this is I tried to create sort of a flower-like feel with the hexagons. So not just to have it sort of as a honeycomb, but to have it like a flower. And so that's the design that I have in each of these corners. And then I've got the bees that I have cut out and gotten ready over here that we're going to add. Again, you don't have to necessarily make this bee themed at all. You can use this for anything, any sort of papers that you would want to use, but that was just my idea. And so I'm going to just put that down here, and we're going to start doing some layout on this. Okay, so I'm going to just put a little bit of adhesive in the corners of this so that I can anchor these pieces down so they don't shift as much while I'm working. So I just like to put it in the opposite corners, and that way I can make sure that the base page isn't moving. This is not sticking. I think I need a little bit more adhesive up there. Okay, this shifted on me. Okay. All right, so just making sure that I'm all square there. All right, so if we bring this back in, you'll notice that I've got a center here on both ends. And I really thought that I wanted my bee to be in the center here. And then around it, I would put the various different pieces. So I've got the greens, I've got the flowers. Yeah, so I thought that I would kind of lay these out like so. So these are full pieces. This piece, and this piece are all full pieces, and the rest of these are partial pieces. So, and again, the flowers are semi-directional, but I think we can get away with it because of the grid layout. Okay, so then I think we'll do that one there. I may not have enough. I thought I cut enough, but I may not have cut quite enough for this. Because I really don't know that I want another. We may have to do a few more cuts. I don't know that I want more than one of the bees. Maybe if we do that. This is always the hard part, is when you're doing the layout of this, what makes sense. Yeah, we're probably gonna have to cut a few more of these to make this work, because I think we want just the bee in the middle. So I've got some extra pieces. I'm gonna have to cut some more of these guys and replace the bees, because I think we only need a bee in the center and then having the rest of these on the outside. So I'm going to need a couple more of these from what it looks like. Okay, looks like I'm missing a light here. Let me just double check that this light is working. Sorry about that. I just looked over and noticed it was a little bit light. Okay, so now that I have this down, now I can start gluing these pieces down. And then I can go back and cut off the excess pieces. So I really want to start with this piece in the middle. And I do want to anchor this pretty solidly here. So I'm going to put a bunch of adhesive, and I'm going to put that right there in the middle. And then we're going to come off of that one to create our spacing. So the nice thing about hexagons is that they're easy to line up and create really uniform spacing. It's one thing I like about them. Okay, so we're gonna go through here. So is anyone else crafting today? Curious on this. I kind of got caught up, unfortunately, with work, and I did not get as many things done as I expected this month. It's kind of been a crazy couple of months for me, and so I know that I got this particular live out pretty late in the process. I should have been advertising it a year, at least a month ago. This one I'm going to line up with the top because I think cutting off a little bit is really going to look funny. So I'm going to line this piece up with the very top of my layout here. And so I'm hoping, because I've been trying to go live on a Saturday or Sunday, not usually at this time, but a little bit later, people can join me, at least for part of it. I know committing 3 hours to anything on a Saturday is quite a lot of expectation. But hopefully some people are crafting today, since it is National Scrapbooking Day, and that you are having a good day. Okay, so this piece as well, I might have to move a couple of pieces because I want this flush with the top as well. So I actually think I'm going to shift this one just a smidge over so that we have better spacing. Same with this. Just move that a smidge over for more even spacing. And then that means these two need to move as well. I'm probably the only one that would notice it, that it wasn't spaced right, but that's, since I haven't put anything else down here, I might as well fix it now. And then this guy needs to move just a little bit as well. And then we'll get that last one down. Again, I want to line it up with the top there as much as I can. All right, that looks good. Okay, one more to lie down. Okay. So if you are scrapbooking or working on a project today, I would love to know what it is. That would be cool. Or if you're working on something, on an album, or something that you are just in your craft room playing around. Okay, so I am going to cut these guys off because I might need them for the other side. So I am going to come in here on the back side and trim these guys up. Also, I did want to mention that yesterday Stampin' Up did a scrapbook live on Facebook and on YouTube, and it is now posted on YouTube. If you go to the Stampin' Up main page, it should be posted there now. And I would recommend going and watching it. It's using the Wildflower, I believe it's called Wildflower Celebration. And what they did is they created from the scrapbook workshop kit the 3 2-page layouts, and then they created 3 more 2-page layouts from the paper, the paper and the cardstock and the sticker sheet. And so they created a second layout set for completing almost a full album for someone. And they used the theme, but the pictures were from a trip to France. And then the third part of it was how they put the pictures, how they selected the pictures and moved the pictures, or put the pictures on the layouts. So they really did do it in a really cool way, like something that we didn't do it close to my heart. And I really liked it. I really thought that they did a really nice job of the whole process video. There was only one thing that I kind of had issue with with the way that they did some stuff, but other than that, I thought they did a great job of putting together. And this is sort of the first time that they've done this, so that's also what was really cool. Is that this was the first time that they had created from this, an out. What do I want to say? It's not an outline, but a whole a whole layout that that they worked on. So anyway, I would highly recommend. Again, they were, that might have been a 4-hour. I think they finished up after 4 hours. So again, just something to maybe, if you're interested in, you can fast forward through parts that you don't want to watch. But I did feel like they did a really nice job on it. So okay, so as you can see, I am futzing around here, trying to figure out what's going to work best, and seeing how many of these pieces I might be able to use. Okay, this angle is not right. Again, I'm looking at the orientation of my paper and the orientation of the pieces that I have. Like so. Like so. And then, yeah, I'm not sure I can use these cutoffs at all. So it looks like I need at least 3 more. I need to do something with these guys. Might be able to use this one still, but I need another flower. I need another green and another flower is what it's looking like. Okay, so I need to pull out those pieces of paper. I'm not disliking the green now that I have it actually on the layout. So that's good. All right, so what do I need? Do I need another, I need a flower, a green, a flower. So I need 2 flowers and I need one green, it looks like. Okay, so, and I need, so I'm gonna need both of these. I need the smallest one, and then I'm going to need one of those because I'm going to need another piece of petunia pop. I don't have enough petunia pop left over, so I need those 2. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just look at how big I need to cut this piece, and I can get away with what looks like I just needed a hair over 3 inches, it looks like, for that. So I need 2 of these. So we're going to cut this just a little bit over 3 inches just to give us enough space. And that's the same with this one. I need a little over 3 inches. That should work. And then I'm going to need a piece of petunia pop. So I'll put those back in there, and then we're going to grab our cardstock and see if we've got a piece that's going to be big enough. So I'm going to need a piece for the larger one, and that is over 3.5. Just over 3.5, even if I go like this. If I go like this, I can probably get away with 3.25 if I do it like that. So, but that's well, I might be able to make it work. Might I be able to make it work? Let's just see. If I do that, then, ooh, I might be able to make this work. Okay, we're gonna try it. Worst comes to worst, I just have to cut another piece. But let's give this a go. So I'm trying to get this all the way to the edge as best as I can, so I get the most for my piece. And I am using my small die cutter that I've got just sitting right there on my desk. I find that, at least from what I've been able to use, or what I've needed to use, a majority of the dies work in the smaller die cutter. So that's been actually quite a nice observation. Ooh, I think that's going to work. No, it might not work. Let's see. Can we make it work? I think not. I think we're just a little bit shy, unless we shift everything. We'd have to shift it quite a lot. Okay, we might have to we might have to cut a different piece, because I think that's just not going to be quite big enough from the looks of it. Okay, so as I said, you've got this extra piece that it does cut, which is, I think, what took out my corner there. Okay, so we might have to cut a bigger piece, but let's go ahead and cut these other pieces. I'm going to try and cut that at the same time. I'm gonna attempt to cut these at the same time. Again, I probably could have cut this just a tiny bit smaller to save some paper, but that's okay. All right, so again, in my little Stampin' Up die cutter machine, let's see if it was strong enough to go through both of those pieces of paper. Ah, looks like it did. So great. We've got both pieces there, and then we've got our inside pieces, or outside pieces, I mean. There. So we're just going to set those aside for right now. Whoops. My washi tape tore. Okay, we're probably not going to play around with this too much. Yeah, we're not going to play around with that. Just gently remove that. There we go. Okay, so those are those two pieces. Let's do a little bit of maneuvering, and then we can decide if we need to cut another piece. Okay, so I'm going to just remove this piece, and we're going to add this to the back, like so. All right, now we're going to take this piece off. As I've mentioned before, I work in a very small space, so sometimes it's a little chaotic if you're looking at my desk where I've stacked things up. Okay. All right. So now we've got, I want to just make sure I've got the flowers going the direction I want them to go. So we've got that, and then just looking, just seeing, is there any way we can maybe make this work without too much trouble? Oh no, I think I can. I think I can make that work. All right. So I need one more flower piece here. So again, these guys I'm going to just set to the side, and I'm going to grab a flower, and we are going to go like that, and add some washi tape. we're just going to cut the whole thing. I'm going to just go ahead and cut the whole thing, and then we can cut off what we don't need after. Okay, so grab those guys, and let's cut this. This is probably the hardest part of this particular layout, I would say. Oh, we cut that washi tape, didn't like it either. There we go. Okay, cool. Is just getting all of your hexagons set and working the way you want them to. All right, so let's attach this here. And we'll probably start with this piece as our starting point this time. Sorry, I'm trying to get my spacing. So I think we need to start with this piece, since we know it's coming like right to the edge there. And then we're going to place everything else based off of that piece. And then we can do our trimming. So this is coming right to the edge here, like so. Okay, and then we can add, I might give myself just a bit more space there. We're going to add that one. I think maybe we should do the center one next. Okay, so our bees are going like this. This, I actually think I need to move down, because I don't like where that is lining up. I'm not lining up with, I want my points to line up. I think that was one of my problems there too. Okay, so I like that. Okay, and then we'll do this one. So yeah, I'm going to do that like that. Okay. Sorry, sometimes when I get to focus, I lose the ability to talk. All right, so I think we're good. We just need to do some making sure our flowers are going the direction we want them to go. Like that. All right, so that's good. I think that all looks good. Okay, so let's take this up and we will trim these guys off like we did on the other side. And then we're set to put our pictures on and to add some embellishments to this. I tend to be a person who likes a lot of white space on their layouts. So all of the designs that I come up with will tend to have a little bit more white space than maybe some other people. I do struggle sometimes with the super busy paper, and all of the papers that I'm working with are, well, this one I think is probably the least busy of the papers that I'm going to be using today. But the whole point is I want to show you how you can make that manageable as part of the process, and give your places eyes to rest when you're looking at some of these busier papers that you might come across. You may like the paper itself, but you're not sure how to handle it or use it. And so that's one of the goals, is, you know, to take a simple sketch like this one and to be able to create interest but not overwhelm your eye when you're looking at it. All right, so now we've got our 2 corners done. I'm actually really happy with it. I do actually like the green now that it's down with the white. I do feel like that does work okay. And as you notice, I created a flower motif. So that was part of my goal because I was using the bee idea. I thought that the hexagons looking like flowers was really what I was going for. Okay, so now it's just a matter of a couple of different things. We need to put our pictures. We want to do some dry layout with our pictures. And I know that I have them. Aha, there they are. Okay. Wasn't sure where I laid them on my desk. Okay, so I've got a 4x6 up here and a 4x6 down here. Like that. And then I have another 4x6 over here and a 4x6 down here. And then I also put a 3x4. Now I did line these guys up, and I'm just trying to decide, do I like the yellow? And I don't think I do. I think I want to stick with the black. So we're going to just put that one aside. I think we're going to do black and black. All right. So this is the way that I laid it out on the sketch. Something like this. And then I have my bees. Now these bees are part of those 2 sets that I mentioned. So the set that is the hexagon set has 2 size bees, has wings, and then also has antennae or antenna. I'm not sure there's multiple, if it's an antennae or an antenna. Anyway, so I just want to get this piece out of here real quick and put that away. I'm not seeing the little hole where I can, oh, there it is. Punch it out here. So what I did is I went ahead and I took the honey butter close to my heart paper, and I cut out a bunch of the bees. And then I also did the punch that I showed earlier, and I punched out one of those bees. You know, when you want something done fast and it doesn't seem to want to work for you. There we go. Okay, got that out there. Okay, so I just want to put these away because my desk is getting kind of messy, and I can guarantee you I will start losing pieces and get very frustrated if I don't put it back. So I'm trying to keep myself organized. So anyway, the body of the bee is what looks like a bubble, you know, a talking bubble. So there's 2 of those, and then like I said, there are the wings here, and then the little antennae. Yeah. Anyway, and then you also have on the 2 stamp sets, you've got the bee pieces. So you could stamp this on white and cut it out, and then or you could stamp yellow on white and then put the black on top, but I felt like that was a lot of extra steps. Didn't really need to do that. What I do love is that they do have these like fun little dotted lines on this stamp set that I'm going to use. And this one does have our hive also as part of the die sets. So there are 3 sizes of these little guys. So we've got the 2 larger sizes, and then we've got a large size, a small size, and then we have a medium size. And so there's a medium right here. So it's a little bit smaller than this. This is what comes from the punch. And then these 2, the bigger size and the smaller size, come from the die set. But how did I get this stamped the way that you're seeing it here? So I have a little trick for that I want to show you, because I think this really helps with Stampin' Up stamps and dies, because I have a hard time lining things up. And so this is a trick that I think is going to be very helpful for a lot of people. This is going to utilize a MISTI or any other stamping platform. When you take your dies or your punch, you get a negative, right? This is a negative piece. What you do is you lay that, you put a little bit of adhesive to tack it down, you lay those out, and then you take your stamps and you set them inside of that negative space. So you can see that I have laid out the body on these into these different pieces. The same with the wings. The wings are laid out. Now this wing happens to be a little bit off. So I'm going to relay this one out just to show you. So this is down. You put your stamp inside of that negative space and you align it in that negative space. Then you come and you push this down and it picks it up, and now it's going to be perfectly centered for this particular stamp and die combination. And I find that this really helps you line things up really cleanly for this. Now, in this case, you need to make sure that your stamping platform, whatever piece you're on here, is solid. You've tacked down these pieces so that they don't move when you lift up the stamping platform. And then on your individual pieces, I just put a touch of adhesive so that when I lay it in here, I can make sure that that is also going to stay down when I do my stamping, because I might need to stamp multiple times. Okay, and that's important, because if I'm going to stamp multiple times, I don't want these pieces picking up and moving. I want them to stay in the position that they're in for that first stamp. So I've put all three of these pieces in. Now I'm going to take my black ink, and you'll notice they're all lined up here, and I can stamp them all at once. So I'm going to go ahead and ink all three of these up at once. And then I'm going to, oops, I can see I missed the little tail of that guy. Let's see if I can get that. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to bounce the camera. I'm going to place that down, and I'm actually going to take a little stamping tool to press down. I just find this is easier for me than pressing. And give it a time to set. Now you'll notice that that's not a very dark black. And that, if I had to do this twice, the chances of me being able to line this up are almost zero. But by using this technique, I can go back and re-ink this again. And I can come in, and again, I can use the pressure of that, and you'll notice how much better that looks. And if I wanted it darker, I could probably do another set, right? I could do this again. So the same thing goes for the antenna, or I'm sorry, the wings. These are a little bit small to put into to put some adhesive on. You could, but I found that I don't really need to do that with these, because I only needed to stamp once. Now I'm using this paper is Carolina, from close to my heart, and I had the Azure Afternoon, which is a darker version of that. But again, same process. I'm tapping on top, and then I'm coming down and I'm pressing onto that, and now I have my antenna, or my wings, inked up. Now you don't have to ink up the wings if you don't want to. I just like that extra touch. I think they would be fine if you didn't want to stamp them. Okay,
So hopefully that's a little technique. Maybe you knew, maybe you didn't know. But it really helps with, especially if you have assembly line, if you're trying to do a lot of things, a lot of flowers at once, this is really, really helpful for that. Okay, so we're going to put that aside, and we're going to bring our pieces back in here, and we are going to decide how we want to lay this out. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is I've kind of got my dry fitting of my pictures, and then I have our hive, which is where I thought my title was going to go. Okay, I just want to line things up so they don't look too funky. Okay, I knew I wanted a big bee here. Actually, let's do some assembly. I didn't do any assembly. Let's add the wings to this bee so we get the true size of this bee. Oops. I put the adhesive on the wrong side. Okay, so there's that, and then I have the antenna. I'm going to add that as well. Like that. Okay, so I thought I wanted the bee to sort of come up and have like a trail here of their, I don't like where that antenna is. Let me just see. Maybe I need to move my wings back a little bit like that. I feel like that antenna is not in the right place. Again, probably being overly picky here. Okay, I don't know if that's any better, but there we go. Okay, so, and then I wanted to also have some bees in the various different corners, because again, remember what we're trying to do is have the eye go around the page as best we can. So let's go ahead and add some wings here and an antenna. All right, so that's one. And then we've got some smaller ones here that we want to add to give us some size variety. Now, I didn't do too many of the small or of the medium size ones, the ones that came from the punch. So let's grab another set of wings. I'm using the little tray that was part of the glass mat to hold all my little pieces here. Oops, that looks like that's going the wrong direction. Go. Okay, so then I've got a bee here. I think I want a bigger bee. Again, just doing some dry placement, A, to see if I have enough bees, and B, to see if I like the placement. Because I may want to add some other embellishments besides this to my page. Like, I don't think that the bees work on this paper itself. I think there's too much going on with the paper and the bees are getting lost. So I almost think that the bees don't belong there, that maybe we need just to keep them in the white space up here and add those lines. So this is why you do a dry fit, is to say, yeah, on the sketch, if I didn't have such busy paper, if I just had solid paper, where my hexagons are, the bees would have worked just fine. But because I did the double here, the bees just aren't working from a visual perspective. It looks too busy down here. Hopefully people are seeing that as they're looking at it. Okay, so we've got that. I'm just trying to decide, do I need another bee somewhere else? Like, do I need a bee up here? Thinking maybe I need a bee up there. This is also why you might cut extras of things that so that when you're doing your layouts, you're able to be, you're able to have enough to play with that would allow you the ability to not have to go back and cut. So I do try to cut everything at once, and then from there go use what I can, and then not store, but keep the other pieces together. Okay, so I'm thinking that this kind of works. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back to my stamp set here, and I've got this line that I was thinking I wanted to use to create some movement of these bees. So I'm going to grab my longer block to pick this up, and I'm visually looking at what I can do here. And I do think this bee is going to be popped up. I am going to pop the bees up, but I need to know my placement of it before I do anything else. Okay, so I think I'm pretty happy with that, actually. I think that's going to look good. So we're going to go ahead and ink up this, and then we're going to shift. The photo is out of the way, and we are going to put that right there. Cool. Okay, we might do another one. Just to keep it interesting. So yeah, I think we'll do another one here. And one thing about these line stamps is don't push too hard. I pushed a little bit too hard the last time around. So just be gentle. You don't need to push that hard. And spread it out. And then, let's see. Yep, I like the idea of doing it over on the other side as well. So again, we're going to take that, ink it up, and I do need a piece of scratch paper because I'm going to go off of the page here. So if I've got my bee right here, I think I want this right there. Perfect. This one, I don't know if I need a trail. I do think maybe I want a trail on this one up here, though, now that I'm looking at it. I do think I changed my mind. Sorry. A lot of this is just, I do try to pre-plan. I'm not great at pre-planning. I have an idea, and then a lot of it just becomes, okay, what does it feel like when I actually have the pieces down? So again, this one's going to have just a little trail here. Like that. And then I can kind of flip this guy over. Well, we're going to leave that one there, flip this one over, and do the other side. Cool. Since that's going to be hidden underneath, like so. Okay, so we'll see if we're good there. Okay. I'm not going to put one up here, and I think let's just look at the sticker sheet and make one last decision here. So we've got better together. I don't think I like that across this piece here. And I might use one of these two down here. Not this one, because this one's the wrong color. All the buzz. I might add that down here at the bottom. I think that one might work. Or we belong together. I don't like the we belong together. I think that's a little bit too specific. Okay, so let's grab some dimensionals. So we are going to pop these bees up on some dimensionals to give some height to these guys. And I am going to have some extra bees left over. I could add some flowers. One of the things I was thinking is I might add some flowers, but looking at it, well, actually, sorry. Not going to do the bees just yet. I need to put down my pictures. I haven't put down my pictures. I'm going to actually leave my pictures flat in this case. I don't think I'm going to pop them up. I'm going to just pop up the bees. So... all right. Again, if you want more dimension, you can certainly add more dimension, but I think I'm happy with just popping the bees up themselves. Okay, so then let's add some dimensionals to this guy. And then we can add these to the page. Okay. Like so. Okay, we're going to pop up our title as well. How are we doing on time? Did I make it to an hour? We're just over an hour. Okay. Well, not too bad. Considering I did some intro stuff early, I'm feeling pretty good about timing. I do need to grab some water, though. I will say I'm getting a little chapped. Okay, so let's put this bee down first, and then we can orient our title. One of the other things that you could add as well is you could add a dashed line around the edge of this. That would be another idea that might make some more visual interest as well. So just doing around the edges here. I would only do the edges. I wouldn't do down the middle here, because that will then break it up for your eye. And the bees then would kind of look like they're running into something versus being free-flowing. Hopefully that makes sense. All right, get the dimensionals off here. And so the other thing about this that's really helpful when you're dealing with a lot of bright colors like we're dealing with this paper is that you want to, using black is also very grounding for your eyes. And that is what I've tried to do here, is by adding the black, what I've done is I have given your eyes a place to rest while you're looking at the layout. And so that is really important to bring focus to your pictures, um, and to bring focus to what the true story is. Now, I have left plenty of space to do journaling on this. I've also left space if you really wanted to add more pictures, you could add more pictures to this. On this right side, you definitely have the ability to add at least 1 or 2 more pictures depending on the size that you use. So that is another thing, depending on how many pictures. There's also the opportunity to use flip flaps on this layout, that you can add more pictures or add your story if you want to do that, behind some hidden journaling. So, we have this nice space here for journaling. We have space down at the bottom for journaling. So again, there's lots of white space, not only for your eye, but lots of white space for you to use for your journaling. These bees are so cute. All right. So then once we finish this, I think we are done with this layout. I might think about going back and doing the dashed line on this, just to mimic the dashed line that's again in the bees. This guy got it pulled down just a little bit. It's a little too high. Okay, there we go. But I think this is just a really simple way, a simple layout. Just pulling this off of my pieces. I'll bring this up a little bit higher. Using simple dies and creating a really fun layout that can be used for spring, for summer, and gives you plenty of places for pictures, as well as plenty of places to add additional journaling. All right, so I'm going to take that all the buzz. That was the other thing that I saw. And I'm thinking I will add this. I think I'm going to add it right there, but I do want to put this up on foam tape. So I'm going to take the sticky off with a anti-static pouch, and then I'm going to grab some foam tape. I'm going to cut this in half because I don't want it to, I don't have my picture down, so I just want to put it at the bottom half of this sticker. So I'm going to just add that there. Oops, that was at the top half. I knew I was doing it wrong. Something told me I was doing it wrong. I want it down here. Again, I don't want this to overlap the picture. I want it to be, I want the phrase to overlap the picture, but I don't want to not be able to get my picture in underneath there. So by doing that, cutting that in half, I was able to make it related to the picture, but not specifically on the picture. Okay, layout number 1 is done, and whoa, just a few minutes past the hour. Hopefully that's cute. Hopefully you guys like that one. Okay, we're gonna set that one aside. And we are, oh, we could have probably used some of these bees too, but I think I'm pretty happy with the bees that we did use. So I'm not necessarily needing to add the stickers in. All right, so let me just grab something to drink, and we're going to do a quick little cleanup. All right. I'm going to just put some stuff, clean up some stuff here. And prep for the next one. I do have some extra bees left over in my little container over here. That's sort of off screen. Okay, I don't think I'm going to save that. Nope. I'm not going to save these pieces. That's what I was saying, that I'm not going to save those. I think I'm going to just throw those guys away. And I'm going to put away our stamp set. Here. And then we should be set to move on to our next piece. All right. Cool, cool. All right, so we'll put all these guys away, out of the way. Okay. Couple more, another drink. All right, let's move on to layout number 2. Layout number 2. Here we go. Okay, so this one is a little bit more complex, but also simple. Sorry, needed to drink a little bit more. We basically have strips of paper in this case. And this is another way that you can help minimize busy paper, is creating smaller chunks of it for your eye to look at. And so we've got some strips of paper on the edges and some different strips of paper in the middle. And then this one actually is going to house a lot of photos with a lot of embellishments. And so I've already got, again, my photo mats all done. And again, I'm using black because this paper, very similar to the bee paper, is very bright. It's pretty, but it's very bright. And so using the black on the photo mats will focus on the photos and be able to give us a really good place for our eye to land to highlight those photos. Now, as I said, with this, I might be using the Country Woods paper. I saw something that somebody did using Country Woods and using the die set from Ocean Friends. And I thought it turned out really cool. I thought this would be another way to tone down the paper as well, in that I could use some of the paper here as an accent, but really tone it down. And so what I did is I took a look at this paper. Now this paper has, I'm just looking for the colors here. Pecan Pie, Pool Party. Pool Party, I think, is the color I was looking at. So this is Pool Party, I believe, on this. But there's also these other more solid reading papers. There were a bunch of browns, but I didn't think the browns worked. I really felt like this paper coordinated really well with all of the aqua colors and the bright colors that were in this paper pack. And so we're going to see how it works. I'm not sure it's going to work until I lay it out. Similar to the last paper pack that we looked at, this paper pack is got a lot of colors going on. We've got Berry Burst, Calypso Coral, Lemon Lime Twist, Melon Mambo, Pumpkin Pie, and Summer Splash. So all really, really bright, colorful papers. And so, again, multiple sides. So some of the sides are a little bit more muted. Some of the sides are more loud. So again, you've got the starfish, they're all over, but this is a very small print, which is really good compared to some of the really bigger prints that are part of this. And then you've kind of got that solid look with the stripe on that one. The second paper here, this is definitely much more busy, right? That is a lot to look at. And so you have the other side, which is more muted. Then you've got this paper, which has got all of the sea life on it. And then the, again, same sort of more solid feel to it. This paper is very similar. So there's a lot of similarities in some of these papers. I think this one was upside down. This is right side up. So this is a very directional paper. Um, Whereas this one's directional, but it feels more fluid. It feels less directional. And that's partially because you've got the jellyfish going in different directions. Where this is very linear, you have to be careful how you cut this one. Okay. And then we've got, right, then we've got that. Oops. And then we have this paper, which is also very, very directional. And then on the back, it's got this very busy pattern. This one can be used to cut out the images. So if you have the die set, you can cut out these images. And it's spaced in the way that it is so that you can cut these out. So I just cut strips off of this, and then I cut out each of these pictures. This is a simple way. A lot of the Stampin' Up! Papers allow you to do this. And so you could buy the dies and the paper, and then you don't have to do the stamping if you don't like stamping or stamping's not your thing. And then I think there's one last paper in here, and that is this paper here, which is the ombre paper. This is one of my favorites. And then on the back is more of the solid pink. All right, so what did I do? And I know I probably just confused the heck out of everyone with looking at all of these papers in sort of a random way. But what I did is I took a look at these papers and I laid them against each other to try and decide which papers I thought would go best for this layout. Yeah, this has to go like this. And so what I came up with, let's bring this back. I've got 4 strips down here. And so I needed 4 papers that I thought could lay next to each other that I thought would work and that would not be too overwhelming. Okay. And so these are the 4 that I selected. Again, they're on the smaller scale side, so it makes it a little bit easier to look at. And then I needed to pick another paper that I thought would also work for the strips on the side. And so I took a look and I thought that maybe this one might work as the 4th one. But I'm going to look at this again now that I've had some time to think about it. And I'm going to decide if that's really what I want to do, because I do feel like that is a bit heavy. And so if I do this one, I've got a lot of that pink color, which I'm not sure that I want that much pink color. This one I feel is a little bit too busy. There's something about it that just doesn't work for me as well. So let's just play around. That one we've already got. Okay, so we've got this patterned paper, which might work well. I'm almost thinking we need an aqua, but I'm not seeing. There wasn't an aqua back. So let's do this. I'm gonna change my thought process a little bit. Again, sometimes this happens to me is I look at something and then I feel like I need to change it. It looked good at the time, but now it's not. Okay, I'm thinking I like this. So we're gonna clear off some of this stuff on my desk because there's a lot of movement and a lot of color going on, and I need to look at this as in a different way. Okay, so we're gonna just put these things aside for right now, and we're gonna bring this back. Okay, so I was pretty happy with this combination here. Now I don't know that I want it in this order. I might change the order of this. I might go like that. Yeah, I think I might go like that. Okay, so these would be the 4 strips down here. And then on the side pieces, I'm actually thinking I really like this. I really like this. The tone is not, the color is not exact, but it is enough of a closeness to this aqua color. So I think that color again is Pool Party, and Pool Party is I don't think I have Pool Party as one of my colors. Pool Party is very much in the same family as Summer Splash. I don't see that I have Pool Party. I think that's one of the colors I haven't gotten yet. But if I take a look, let's just see. Let's just see if I have Pool Party, if Summer Splash. That's not one of the ones they put together, but it's a tone on tone. So I think this is close enough to this tone that you see here that this really ties in. And guess what? This gives us a neutral. It gives us a little bit more to play with. And I actually like it. So in the sketch, I'm going to move these things out of the way now. In the sketch, I've got a bordering top and bottom. I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to just cut this as a 12-inch strip by 4 inches. And then I'm going to cut all of these at the 2x6. And then you'll notice I have some black frames around that, around the 2x6s. Again, another way to get your eye to rest when you've got lots of busy color and busy things going on. All right, so we need to trim this paper up. And this is why I didn't do any trimming before, because I wanted to sort of walk through the process of how to pick out the papers when you're using very colorful or very busy paper. All right, so we are going to trim this at 4x12, and we're going to get another 4x12. And I'm noticing that my trimmer is creating some hanging pieces. I don't know if you guys can see that. But that means it's time for me to change my blade. My blade is getting very dull, and so it's causing this, the edges to not be clean. Now for this layout, I'm not so concerned about that because that actually might work in my favor, making it feel a little bit more rough. So I'm not going to worry about it so much, but definitely is something that you may want to look at if you're not looking for a roughness in your paper. Okay, so we've got those two pieces. So now we need 2x6 for these. This is a layout also. If you take away the long pieces on the edge, that this would be a really good layout to use for 6x6 papers. You could use solid cardstock similar to this for the longer pieces. And that actually would work because it's an 11-inch. The way that I've designed this for the cardstock, you could use 8.5x11 paper, and you could use cardstock on this edge, and then you could take a complementary half-inch piece of paper from the 6x6 papers. So again, that's another idea. Okay, so this is going to be 2x6. Remember, if you have a directional paper, make sure that you're thinking about that when you're cutting, because you do not want to have the direction of the paper go the wrong way. And we are going to need 2 pieces of this. So again, from a usage of paper, it's a really good paper usage for 12x12. So this one, I don't like the waves going up, so I am going to have the waves going side by side, or side to side. So 2x4. Again, that probably is personal preference, but this one's going vertical, so having something else go horizontal sometimes bothers people. For me, in this case, it does not bother me. Okay, so we've got those 2. All right, and then we've got the starfish, which again, there is no directionality on this one, so we don't have to worry about it. Turn that guy up. All right, and then we've got one more this way, and I think I'm going to also do this one Yeah, I'm going to do this one also with the lines going horizontal. All right, so one more cut here, and then we can start doing some layout. All right, so we'll put this guy away, and we'll bring our sketch back in. So again, what I've done is I've created a black outline around this. I'm going to lay this out and decide if I want to have that. Again, that's an option. But I'm not sure if I'm going to do that or not. So let's start the layout part, and then we can decide if we want to add that black around it. And I've got some black pieces of paper here that I can play with. Okay, so again, I still have that adhesive on my Versamat. So I'm not adding anymore, I'm just putting that down. Okay, so then these pieces go here on each side. Am I still in frame? Making sure I'm still in frame. Here, like so. Okay, and then we've got like this. And then I think we'll go the opposite like that. Okay, so let's just grab some black. I'm going to just put this underneath this and decide if I want to put this on black. Again, sorry, when I do some of this stuff, I don't always have the ability to talk at the same time as I'm doing the layout. So I do apologize for that. Anyway, here we go. And then let's do this. Oh, this needs to move over a little bit because it comes right up to the edge there. Okay. So now we have to decide, do we want the black or not want the black? I'm not sure the black goes with this. That is the thing that is distracting me from using the black. I do like that it anchors it, but I'm not sure that with this piece here it works. Okay, so let's pull that out and let's see. I do need something that's going to ground it though. I do feel like it needs some grounding, but maybe what the grounding is, maybe it's just a strip of black at the bottom versus the overhang. Comments? Anybody out there? Anyone have ideas? I'm not immune to taking ideas if people have ideas. I don't know. I'm not sure that I do feel like that helps ground these very bright colors by having this strip of black at the bottom. I'm just wondering, is it clashing too much with this paper? And would another choice be better? So let me just do something. Sorry guys, this is me watching me design on the fly, which is not always the best thing. I really thought I had this all nailed down. In my head, I thought, oh yeah, this will work perfectly. And now I'm concerned that maybe it's not. Okay. I'm not sure that works either. I don't like the heavy grain of this particular paper. I'm just looking through the rest of this paper just to see if there's another option that I could use that might work. That's interesting. That is very interesting. I don't think I would want to use the aqua again, but, and I don't think I want to use the blue, but this weathered wood might work. Okay, let's do this. Let's do this. We are going to take this and we are going to cut up our paper. We are going to kill some paper here and just see if this works. Because even though this is not the brown per se that's here, it's in the same family of weathered wood, and it does kind of do what I want it to do. So if you'll notice, because it's weathered, this is weathered, it doesn't take away from the bright colors, but it does give it grounding. There's no grounding right now with the paper without having something underneath it, so it just looks like it's floating. And so what I'm trying to do is figure out, is this the right grounding that we can use? There is another strip in here, but it has blues in it, which are not really in there, and I really don't think adding that peachy tone would work. I think that peach tone is not the right one, and the aqua is too much aqua. So I think that this is actually a really good option for grounding that isn't solid black. Now the question is, can I get away with half of this? Because I need it to span both of these. So we are going to, this looks like it's a 1/2 inch strip. Yeah, it's about a 1/2 inch strip. So we are going to cut this in half. Hopefully I did a good job of lining that up. Not quite, but we're going to make it work. And then we can put, oops, this really went wonky. It shifted in my trimmer. I should have, shoot, okay. We're going to have to find another one of those strips, because I did mess that up a little bit too much because I didn't tape it down. And so what happened was, because I didn't tape it down, it didn't stay even all the way down. So it made it kind of off center. And I don't want to try and make that work. So we're going to try this again. I'm going to do this. And now we are going to actually use our adhesive, and we are going to make sure that it stays in place where we put it. So just by putting a little bit of adhesive on your paper trimmer, and then if you line it up, I'm lining it up on the 1/4 inch side here. Just trying to make sure I'm at the 1/4 inch. Then I'm making sure it's even, since I'm going to be going down both sides of this layout. And hopefully I get this lined up correctly. Okay, a little bit like that. All right. Okay, I think that's straight. Okay, now I should have 2 even pieces. I do. Better, better, better. Okay, let's hope that we like the thinner piece, because I can't go back now. This is my last piece of paper. I think the thinner piece works just fine. I think it works just fine. Okay, so we need this to be 8 inches long. So we'll cut this down to 8 inches. And we'll cut this guy down to 8 inches. Okay. All right. So I think we solved that. Oops, that one did not cut right. Shoot. What happened there? It must have slid a little bit. Fudge. Fudge, fudge, fudge. 2, 4, 6, 8. 8 inches should have been perfect. But for some reason it's not. Do I have my things lined up? I do. Okay. Well, we are going to make it work. We are going to make this work. Because we don't have another choice. I don't have any more paper for that. So we will figure it out. We will figure this out. Okay. We might end up doing an embellishment cluster. Okay, so now that we've wasted a bunch of time on that, I think that we are actually good with the layout itself. So I think we can go ahead and adhere our pieces, and then we can start working on the embellishment side now that we've got this all laid out. So let's go ahead and put this all together. Here, making sure we're lined up at top and bottom. Like so. And then these pieces are gonna be, let's see, let's put these at 2, I don't know if we want to do we want to do 1 inch? I think we might want to come down a little bit. Let's do 1 inch because I need to put my pictures. So let's, again, going back to my layout, I've got these pictures here at the top. And so I need to make sure that I have the space at the top that I want. So let's just do some measurements and let's sort of decide where we want this. So I think we want this at, let's do 1 1/4. And this is a 1/4 inch strip, so that would put us roughly around 1. Okay, so we're gonna lay these pieces down at 1 1/4 up from the bottom. Okay, and so we'll start from the inside edge here, and then work our way across. All right. There we go. One last one. Oh, that one already has adhesive on it. That should just slide right in there if everything is measured correctly. All right, and then we will put this piece down at the bottom. Okay, I do have a little gap there, but we're gonna have to live with that. Okay, so this one I'm actually going to move over, and I want this to be aligned. So I want to just make sure that I have these two together so that it looks like it's a seamless piece coming across. And the simplest way to do that is just to butt the two parts of the layout together, and then you can separate them, but you know that they are that they are, when you're looking at it, your eye going across is going to, looks like I cut that one a little short, is going to match up. Okay, this piece, and then the last piece, last two pieces. Okay, put this guy on. And great. All right, and then we'll add our little strip at the bottom. Okay, this piece is a little bit short, and I'm not liking it, so we're going to just move it. And then this will hide that just a smidge. Okay, so I already had these mounted on black, and I don't think that I think this was the only thing that maybe this might not be the best option to have these on black. Okay, got to think about that just a little bit more. And again, we've got a little gap here because for some reason I measured wrong. But we'll make it work. Okay, so let's just lay out the pictures similar to what we have here. So I've got a 3x4 over here and a 3x3, and then I've got a 3x3, another 3x3, and then my third 3x3. And I can say for sure that I don't like the black on this. So, options. What are my options? My options, I think, are to change this from black to gray. And so I'm going to pull out my grays, and I'm going to see which gray I might have that might work. Okay, so where are my other grays? I'm actually out of my grays. I think I need to order some gray. So I've got linen. I've got mink. Sorry guys, give me a second here while I try to see what I've got. Charcoal. Oh, what color is this? This is linen. I don't think linen's going to be right. But let's just pull out a piece of linen just in case. Sorry guys. Sorry. I'm just trying to see what other grays I have that I can use. Alright, what's this one? No, that's not it. Okay, I don't have a lot of choices in grays. So, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take these guys off, and I'm going to kind of lay out some of these colors. And just see if any of them really work for me. So these are just all my scrap pieces of paper. Okay, what's that? That's mink. Definitely the charcoal could work, but I think the mink actually might work better for the pictures. It's dark enough. The linen is too light. I don't think there's enough grounding with the linen. So I'm going to call linen out. Charcoal is definitely dark enough, but I think because the pictures are going to be on top of this piece here, I'm thinking that the linen might be the best option here. Or sorry, the mink. Mink. Linen is too light. That's linen. That's too light. Okay, so we are going to go with the mink. And I happen to have some smaller pieces in here. I don't have to cut into a full piece, it doesn't look like. Let's just see. Let's take some pieces out of this. I got some 3x3s I need to cut. Okay, so there we go. Try and use up some of my scraps, since I have quite a few scraps in this particular piece here. Okay, so let's just see if that all works. I'm just taking out a bunch of these scraps. So I have these envelopes that I use that I put all my scraps into, that I absolutely love because it just allows me to easily keep the colors together, and then I have them labeled with the color of it, and it just goes in front of all of my other papers, all the other paper that I have for that colorway. Okay, so put that aside. We're going to see what we can get out of this. Okay, so I need 1, 2, 3. I need 4 3 1/4 by 3 1/4. So let's see what we've got here. And I apologize, you guys are probably not at all interested in watching me cut paper, which is why I tried to have it done before we started this. But with that little bit of a change in direction on the paper that I was going to use, that caused a problem. So we're going to just take these black scraps and we'll clean up after. Another thing that you can do too is you could draw a line around this as well, but I do think that that's going to work really well. I think that's going to work really well. 3 1/4. Okay, let's see, how does that look? Oh, pretty good. It's nice to use up scraps, I do have to say. Okay, so 3 1/4 by 3 1/4. And this is going to have a lot of pattern on it, but I do think that it's going to go together really nicely at the end. And use some papers that maybe you hadn't originally thought would potentially go together, which is always a fun accident, because you never know until you lay things out, how they're going to look. Like I said, the idea that I originally had, I thought would work, but then when I started looking at it this morning with you, or this afternoon, I guess it's afternoon now, I really thought that it would be overwhelming to have that many patterns on this page. And I can show that to you in just a minute once we do this. Okay. 3 1/4. And 3 1/4. And I don't, sometimes I have to sit with a layout and make changes to it after I put it together. So if you do that too, believe me, you are definitely not the only one. Okay, so this is 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. I love using up my scraps. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, this is not long enough. Okay, so that one won't work. Will this one work? This is 3 1/4. Okay, this one will work by 4 1/4. And I am using the dark side of Mink. In case you were curious, there is a light side and a dark side, and I am using the dark side of Mink, or the true side of Mink. As far as a possible other color that you could use if you have Stampin' Up, I would say that you could definitely use, say, gray granite, because it's a warm gray, not a cool gray. Mink is a warm gray brown. You might be able to get away with crumb cake on this as well. Crumb cake would be probably another one, but I don't have, I actually do have crumb cake. I probably could have pulled that out, but I was thinking green or grays. But yeah, warm grays is what we're looking at here. Okay, I think that is so much better. Hopefully people agree. When you compare it to that brown or that black, I think that this color is so much better. Now, what I did want to do is just bring something in real fast, because I did want to say that my original plan was to use, I think it was this paper. My original plan was to use this paper here. I probably would have not put it in this order. I probably would have put the pink or the orange against this. But I do think that I am much happier with this wood grained paper instead. Okay, so I did want to show that. Sorry, diversion. I keep diverting myself. Okay, so let's see if this will work for this one. No, but that one will. Okay, so we are going to cut this for, okay, so we need to do 6. So we're going to do 6 this way, and we're going to do 4. Did I do a quarter? I think I did a quarter. It's the only, there's little marks, but it's hard to see which one is which. Okay, so I think this is what I want here. Those black pieces will go back in my stash. Don't worry. I will get the adhesive off of them and I will put them in my stash. But I do have a lot of black paper, so if I even don't do that, it's not a huge loss because I have tons and tons of black paper. Okay, I'm just trying to line this up with the side because I don't want edge at the bottom. I only want it at the top and on the sides. Okay, so then this needs to be 8 and okay, so let's see, how do we want to do this? So we'll do this 4 1/4 here, so we get a nice long strip, and then 8 1/4. Hopefully that will fit both of these. Oh, shoot, I did it wrong. 4 8. Oh, nope, it was supposed to be 6. 6 and 4, it's supposed to be 10. Okay, so we're gonna have to cut into another piece. That's why you measure twice and cut once, so that you don't mess that up. Okay, so we need to go grab some ink. But I have lots and lots of mink. I have more mink than probably any other color. Okay, so let's do 4 1/4. 4 1/4. Oops. 4 1/4 by 10 1/4. Okay, there we go. Now that should be the right size. Yes. Okay. All right, thanks everyone for their patience with my mess ups and trying to get this organized. Okay, so let's get this on. This one, like so. I feel like this is too long. This is too long. We're gonna have to cut it up. Thought it was too long. Now, better too long than too short. Okay, so let's trim this guy up. 6, 7, 8, 9. So it was supposed to be 9 1/4, not 10 1/4. I'm really messing up my numbers. So 6, this is 3 inches wide, this is 6 inches wide, so this really should have been 9 1/4. So again, if you're taking down any notes, I apologize for the mess up on the numbers here. And we're gonna just shift this over a little bit. I think I need some more adhesive. It's not feeling like it's sticking. So we're gonna give ourselves a little space here. I'm probably gonna trim a little bit off the top here as well. I feel like it's a little bit too much at the top. Let's add a little bit more adhesive here. Okay, yeah, we need to trim a little bit off of this. This is too much here. So, okay. Yeah, okay, that looks good. All right. Hopefully that's about even. Yeah, pretty good. That's a much better cut than the other cuts that I did. Okay, here we go. All right, so all of these pieces I'm going to just move out of the way because they're taking up space on my desk. Do something, throw away some things, and then we're just going to move these over here, and I'll clean that up later. How many times have you said that when you're creating? Oh, I'll clean that up later. Okay. Alrighty. There we go. This needs a little bit more adhesive on it too. Okay. All right, so this is another layout where normally I do pop up my pictures. I'm not going to pop up my pictures on this layout. So at least I'm not going to pop up the top pictures. We will see about the bottom pictures. Okay, so I'm going to just set this here because these guys I want to make sure are lined up. And I am going to cover a little bit because my cuts were a little bit off. And so I am going to overlay just slightly on top of the patterned paper. Okay, so this one has to shift over. I forgot we're doing a continuous look here. So this has to come all the way to the edge. And this is why I use Tombow adhesive, because I know I have a little bit of wiggle room to be able to move things around. Okay, so we're gonna do this. Okay, there we go. Okay, all right, so we're gonna lay these guys down flat, and I want this butted right up against the edge of the layout. And I'm just overlapping the patterned paper just a smidge, not too much. And then in order to make this line up and look like it's continuous, I'm going to butt these two layouts together, and then I'm going to make sure that these are lining up here as well, like so. Okay. We're good. All right. So there is that. Okay. Whoops, I lost a light. Let's see if we can get it back. My lights don't stay charged for very long, unfortunately. Okay, so let's bring this back in. Now that we're here, and this one's taking us a lot longer to go through than, sorry, that was a box that fell. Hopefully the next layout won't be as long. So hopefully you'll hang in there with me. Okay, so we have got our two pieces up here. We've got this piece here, and now we've got our individual clusters, and then we have our title and our clusters here. So what I want to do is, now that I've got these pieces set, I'm actually not going to put these pieces down just yet. I'm going to dry fit them to see where I want to put my clusters of embellishments. All right, so again, I've got a big cluster here, a cluster here, I've got a title going here, and another little cluster up there. And my title, I was going to put, not sure exactly how I want to do this. So my thought was that I was going to use this. And I'm just trying to decide, do I think that that is big enough? Or should I go bigger? Like this. So these are just some dies. This, I'm actually liking this die better than this one. Yeah, I like this die better. Okay, so this was something fancy, which is a retiring die set, was the one I pulled out that had the scalloped edges. This one is the Nested Essentials, and there are multiple sizes of this one in the Nested Essentials, similar to the hexagons. So this is the second to largest size, and this is the largest size. I don't think I want to double this. I think I just want one of these, and I feel like this one is too big. This one feels just about right. And I think it goes with the theme. So this I'm actually going to die cut out of white. So I'm going to just grab a piece of white cardstock, and I'm going to go ahead and die cut this out. Again, this one is a more on the fly kind of design. Normally I try to come on and be much more organized, but this one I just wasn't sure how I wanted it to look. I knew the sketch that I wanted to have, but I didn't really know what I wanted to do at the end. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and die cut this. And try and get through my die cutter. If you don't offset the plates correctly, it does not want to go through. So the nice thing about this particular die set, one, that it is sticking around, but two, it does create, it has a texture on it, which I like to give it a little bit more of an elevated feel on the die cut. So it's not just plain, it's got a little bit of texture going on, which I really like. So we've got that. Now we can start taking our elements, and you will notice I have a lot of elements that I've cut out. So as I said, I've cut out pieces from the paper. I have taken the die set and done the coral, and then I also have what I think is supposed to be seaweed, but I actually have done it in lots of different colors. And then the other thing that I did, which I mentioned, is I cut the lobsters and the crabs out of this paper here. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm going to lose this light here. Let's see. I might lose one of my lights here. I apologize, it's going to get a little bit dark, unfortunately. I think I have maxed out their ability to be used. We'll see if we can get this one to light up. The other one is blinking at me like it's going to die too. Anyway, so I cut out from a bunch of scraps of paper these different pieces, and I didn't know how much I was going to use or what I was going to use. I just tried to pick the colors. Again, I've got instead of stamping all of these, I just cut them out of the patterned paper. So Really easy way. So what I wanted to do, I'm going to kind of take these off to the side and separate them into different groups. I apologize. We're going to lose some light here because this one light is not charging and not liking it. So I apologize. The light might go a little bit dark in here right now. Okay, so I'm going to just take these and sort of separate them into different groupings. And then we're going to start pulling them in as we're playing. So this is the part where it's going to really be about what aesthetic you like, how much color you want, how much color you don't want, etc. And so that's what I'm going to be playing with now, and just sort of seeing what goes, what doesn't go. Again, I wasn't sure if the lobsters would work with this, if they're going to fade into the background. And I do feel like as I lay these guys out on top of this paper, it is fading into the background. And if we go back to our sketch, it certainly won't work on top of itself. So because I ended up using this paper, I will save these for something else. They might go on a card or something like that. So let's bring in some of these guys. And let's see what we can do here. So again, I've got a couple of different versions of these guys that I can work with. This one can kind of fit underneath there like that. This was a half piece that came at the bottom of the sheet of paper, but that one would work really well there. Let's see. This guy will work well here. I don't want the orange on the orange. I got to be careful about that. Maybe this guy over here, like that. Okay. Okay, I think that might work. So let's grab some of this. I want to add some of this aqua color in behind here to add a bit more color. I think we'll probably use mostly the aqua out of this. I think we've got enough of the orange and the pink. So I think I want, unless I'm going to put it over here, I think we need to have this over there, and then maybe over here is that, and over here is the orange. Okay. So let's put that aside. So let's play around with this a little bit and see what works. Okay. So here. Okay. And then the dry fitting is important so that you can get balance and you understand where you need more or less. And creating flow and movement. So let's see. Let's maybe put this guy under here. Probably could have done a little bit more of the aqua color, but we'll make that work. Can't even remember which thing I pulled this from, but there we go. Okay, so I think that works. I'm not sure I'm going to add, this color just doesn't feel like it fits as well, but maybe we'll see if we can add that in over here, because I feel like this is a little bit light on some pieces here. Okay. Here we go, here we go, here we go. Okay. Okay. Maybe that, I think that works. And then I do like the idea of putting this really bright pink coral with this crab over here. And then this coral with this crab over here. I don't want him hidden quite so much, maybe like that. Okay, I think that works. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. Pretty happy with that. I still have some pieces left over, but I don't think I'm going to need them. All right, so then the next thing I want to do is I'm actually going to start working on putting these together, or putting down all of my pieces. So again, I apologize for the boringness of watching me put foam tape on things, but I am going to put foam tape on these pictures at the bottom to give them some dimension. I am not putting foam tape at the very top here because I know I'm going to be sliding that piece underneath it. I also know that my title for this piece here is going to be die cut letters or something that I print out. So I'm not going to try and put a title on this right now. I will do that after I finish this. So that will, again, I don't want to keep people too long. Again, I'm trying to be careful. When I'm overlapping, I want to make sure that I'm not covering up that picture with the adhesive, which looks good. So we'll take all this off. And I think that looks good there. I just want to make sure that I don't have, okay, whoops. Well, we're good. That's going to stay. I was going to say I didn't take the adhesive off, or I didn't take the backing off, but honestly, you can put a lot of adhesive, foam tape adhesive, and not take it all off because it's pretty sticky, and so it's okay if you don't. Okay, so we are going to lay this piece down flat. So I'm going to shift that up so I can give myself some space on my mat that is my anti-stick mat. I know it has a name. I don't know what it is anymore. I feel like my poor brain has been confused between Close to My Heart and Stampin' Up and trying to learn the new things. Actually, I'm going to take my eraser here. I got a little bit wild with the adhesive that I don't want on that picture. And so my brain is now just sort of rebelling against learning anything. I feel. All right, so that's going to go there. And then we're going to take our dimensional, because the dimensionals are smaller, and we're going to go ahead and pop this guy up. And I apologize for the light. I had a feeling that might happen with these lights. They're kind of old, and they don't keep their charge for very long, unfortunately. Okay, so this, we don't need that little piece there, so we're just going to stick this guy underneath here, like so. Oh, that's cute. I like that. That's cute. That's cute. I'm going to just see if I can get this light to come on, just so we have more light. Okay, so this piece I think I'm also going to pop up, but I'm going to make sure that I kind of keep it just here in the center so that I can stick these other pieces around underneath it. So we're just going to kind of slide these guys and make sure that we're straight, because if we're not straight, then our title might not be straight. Okay, how are people doing? Are you hanging in with me? I know this one was a bit of a challenge. A little bit more challenging than the last one we did. Okay, hold on, not straight. Okay, all right, so now I'm going to, and I can always cut these pieces down, which I might end up doing, especially this one. I think I'm going to cut off the bottom of this guy. That way I can slide him down a little bit further. Yeah, okay, and so we're going to pop him up as well. I like the idea of popping up the sea creatures here. But let's get these guys in first. Would love to know what people are working on. If anything, and how their day is going. Alright, and then we've got this guy here. This is limeade from Close to My Heart. Okay, yeah, I think that works. I was going to do a whole bingo thing, but didn't end up getting time to do any of that. But hopefully people are getting the new catalog and have had a chance to do a look through on it, because there's some cool stuff, I think, in there. Okay, I do feel like I need, if I do this one down here, I do feel like this piece needs, I need a little bit more up at the top. So we're going to cut this guy. We're going to try and get that in there. Needs something. It needs something on this side. It's missing something. There. Maybe. I feel like it's a little bit light here on top. So maybe like that. Maybe that'll work. Okay. All right, this is a full piece of that coral die cut. So this actually looks really full. So I think that's going to work fine down here at the bottom. Well, it's almost a full one. Looks like I got a little bit cut off, but like I said, it's pretty full, and I'm not sticking it that far up underneath this piece, so it looks like there's even more there. Okay, and then we've got our crab here. And we'll put him up on 3D foam tape as well. Okay, so what is your thought about this paper and die set? Anyone have any thoughts about this one? I know the colors were kind of different for an ocean theme, which in some ways I think was unique, in some ways maybe a little bit harder to work with than maybe people were used to. But anyway, hopefully this is giving you some good ideas. Okay, so this I do feel like I have a problem with because it's not grounded in any way, and it feels like it's floating. So I think I need to change this one a little bit. Or I may just decide, that I need to do something else in this corner. So first I'm going to just take this off because I feel like that just doesn't work. It's just floating up there. So let's work on this guy over here. This is why it's important to stop and look at your layouts if you're doing something like designing them and not taking a pre-designed workshop that you know has been created. And really, you know, when you're doing your own, you do have to think about things like balance and color and grounding, because that's going to be what is attractive about your layout. That's what's going to make it feel cohesive. And I know it seems like it's a lot to think about, but if you do it that way, then, and if you step away and you think about the actual layout itself, then it really doesn't, it won't feel quite as overwhelming as part of the process. All right, this is, I don't want to be, oh, I don't want dimensional there, because that's going to be on the picture. Okay, I've got to get my pictures down first. I forgot to do my pictures. Oops. Hold on. Hold on. I got a dimensional on my finger. Like that. Okay. So I just got the dimensionals out, so I'm going to just use those on my pictures. Usually I don't use dimensionals on my pictures because I hate taking off all the backing. And granted, I don't have to take off all the backing, but I do have to take off enough where it's actually going to sit correctly on the layout. All right, so we've got this guy here, which I think can go like that, and then this one. Okay. All right. We are getting to the end of this one. This is taking us a lot longer than I thought it would, and I'm hoping the next one goes a little bit faster, but we're probably going to go over the 3 o'clock window, that time. But hopefully it's still giving you a lot of good ideas to work with. Okay, so I think we're going to bring this, we're going to move this one a little bit to a different spot so that it touches that piece, that embellishment. We don't want that embellishment floating out there, and so it is important that we think about where that embellishment is touching our pictures or touching other parts of the layout so that it does look cohesive, like I said. So I'm actually going to change this one and really bring this one down a little bit, like so. And then that will give the crab a landing place for this piece here. I actually don't think I like that. I want to go, sorry, I think I want to change this slightly to be a little bit more straight. I don't like that. I didn't like, it was angled too much for me. So I'm making that just a tad bit straighter. Okay, so there's that. So now we have this section here, which again, I think I'm going, no, that's too much pink. Let's just see. Does this guy work better? I'm trying to see which one of the things that I have left works better. I think that guy works really well. And then if I put these around it, okay, I think that will work. I don't think any of these others. Again, the whole point here is I'm trying to make it be grounded with the other pieces. and related to the other pieces. So that, no, I don't think I like that, but let's just see if I do. Let's add the crab here. No, don't like that. So let's change this. Let's do this. I know some of you watch other YouTubers who do this, and they get, because we're live, we don't get the to enjoy the, and now I'm back after I've done all the futzing with this particular situation. But that's essentially what I'm doing, is what people you see generally do, is they go off and they do all this futzing with the layout, and you kind of, you see the end result, but you don't see trying to work through it. That's too big. I feel like that's just way too big for this piece of coral. Okay, really wanted another lobster on that side though, but I don't know how I'm going to get another lobster on that side and make it work. I just feel like, I put it too far underneath the coral and it gets lost. But if I put it on top, it feels wrong too. And I kind of want the opposite color here. Okay, maybe like that. Maybe that's my solution. Okay. I feel like there's too much over there. Okay, I think we're gonna move the coral off to the side here, like that. So we see more of the coral, but we've got that lobster. Okay, I think that works. Sorry. Okay, so we're going to stick the coral underneath here, this corner, and then we're going to go ahead and pop this guy up. Where are my dimensionals? Here. There we go. And we're going to add the lobster. Now, I'm not going to add any twine or anything. I don't tend to add that kind of stuff to my layout. So, but, you know, with this sort of nautical theme, you certainly could add twine to this layout if that's something that you actually like to do. All right, I think that works. Okay. Okay. I think that's it. I think we're done. So there are two things that I am probably going to add. So the other thing that I might add here, I think this is too small. Yeah, that's too small. I'm just looking at my other dies that I might use. Yeah. So my other thought is that I'm going to take this die here and I'm going to add another phrase or saying on this other side. Actually, we're going to cut both. No, that one's too small. Maybe we'll cut this guy. I think we'll cut these two and we'll decide which one I like best. So this, again, this die is from the Stylish Shapes, and the other one is from the Everyday Details. Everyday Details is retiring. Stylish Shapes is sticking around. So one of my goals was to use some of the things that I had from last year last year's catalog, last year's papers, last year's things, so that I could actually use them up. So I'm not sure if I want, this might be too big. No, I think if I put it in like that, that could work. So my thought is I should have another thing on the other side, another like subtitle or subheading on the other side. So I think I actually do like the stylish shapes with the dovetail. I think that looks nice. So we're gonna do that. And again, I'm gonna probably use my letter dies, either the a la mode or the, what's the other one? I have it over here. There's an a la mode one, and then there is a, what is it called? I think the a la mode, and of course I don't have it handy. Mini alphabet dies. So I'm going to probably use one of those two woo, sorry about that. Bit of a shuffle, trying to get, again, lights to stay on here, to add some of the subtitles here. So we are done. We finished this one. Other than the titles, we have this one all finished, and it took me a little bit longer than I expected on this one, because I think we did a lot more designing than I had initially planned, and I have a lot of little leftover pieces too, that I had cut out that we didn't end up using. But that's okay. I will find a place to use them somewhere else. I'm just checking, wondering if I should add... No, I'm not going to. I'm going to leave it alone. I did have this piece over here that I don't have mirrored on the other side, but I don't think anyone's going to notice that but me. And I might go back and add that later. But I think we've spent enough time on this particular layout that we need to move on. So again, hopefully you guys see some of those details and how we used a lot of bright colors but muted them down, and will be great for any of the ocean sea pictures that you might have. All right, so let me grab a drink of water, and we are going to move on to layout number 3. And layout number 3 is just a simple vertical strip, and we are going to be using the new paper from the annual catalog. Now, this paper is brand new. It will be launching on the 6th of May, so that's Tuesday. And it is called Floral Impressions. Crushed curry, darling duckling, fresh freesia, garden green, misty moonlight, old olive, peach pie, pecan pie, pool party, pretty in pink, and strawberry slush. So this has 2 of the new in colors, darling duckling and strawberry slush, as part of the paper pack. So let's just take a look at this really quickly before we start talking about the layout. Okay, so it has this really beautiful rainbow of flowers and leaves that are the first paper, and then the second side of these are really neutral. They're very small patterns. They read very neutral, or very much like a solid. So you've got one really bold, and then the solid on the other side. This one, again, very vertical pattern. Everything is going in a vertical direction. Really cool colors. Again, on the other side is the fresh freesia. Looks and reads solid. Then we've got another vertical pattern of the leaves with the sunflowers almost. And this is the pool party. It has little circles. Then we have an all over print of the sunflowers or daisies. I'm not sure. I think these might supposed to be daisies. And then you've got the green, garden green. The next paper, again, another very vertical type of paper with a strawberry slush, and this pattern is a little bit more in your face as far as the tone on tone patterns versus some of the other ones, but really cool pattern there. And then we have the all over flower, and then this has got a dash and dot pattern on the back. So as you can see, quite a lot of variety of large patterns and orientation patterns, and then a lot of those really much more solid or read more solid or more muted patterns with the rest of the collection. So really good front and backs that you can use if you want bold patterns or if you want to have a more muted pattern on the back. Okay, so now that we've looked at those papers, what I wanted to do is come back to the sketch. So you notice that I have just these really simple vertical pieces here, and they're 2 by 10. And when I looked at this, I decided that what I thought might turn out really cool is I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got at least 5 that I can work with here, and I might pull a 6th. But at 2 inches, so if we just take this and put this on my Versamat, at 2 inches, I'm going to get this really cool rainbow option here. And so I thought that that might be a cool way to take these vertical stripes and kind of take them to the next level. And with such a directional paper, I can get what I think is going to be a really cool pattern on it. So that was my plan, is to do that. So the first thing we need to do is take this and we need to do the cuts on it at the 2 inch and 10 inch. So we're going to go ahead and do that part first. Again, you can tell I have not necessarily planned this out 100%. I have some ideas, and I'm going to hopefully do my best to not be too long with this one. But you can see I've got a nice dark pinkish red in my first 2 inches. And then I go to sort of more of that pink orange peach color in the next 2 inches. And then we end up with the yellows. And we'll decide if we're going to use, I'm going to just cut these all in 2 inches, and then we'll decide which ones we're going to use. Because I might not use this green one. I might skip this green one and use the other 2. Oh, we lost another light. Okay. All right, and this should be the last 2 inches. Yep, perfect. Okay, so now we've got these strips. So now we're going to cut these down to 10 inches. So that is our next. So we're going to go down, we're going to go to 10 inches, and we're going to cut these down. And then we've got a nice 2 by 2 square, essentially, that we can use on something else. So cut this guy down. All right. And then the other thing I was thinking of doing with this, just to give it a little bit more weight, is to add, I think we're going to hold on this one because I'm not sure I'm going to use that one, and I don't necessarily want to cut it if I don't have to. I think I want all of the flowers and not the greenery. So we're just going to leave that one, and we'll cut the rest of these. So what I was thinking I might do is cut cardstock to go behind this, right? So this is kind of the layout. Is that right? No, I think it goes like this. Yeah, it goes like that. So what I was thinking is I was going to take the cardstock and I was going to see which cardstocks I could use to back these that might give it some more fun and dimension. So my thought was like I could take this piece and back that one. I think I need a darker color for this one. And then I needed a yellow, a blue, and a purple. But I do think that this one could work. This one could work. Okay, so I'm gonna grab my rosy, which I think is going to be the best color for the red one. Just see. Yep, the rosy will work good with that. And then on the yellow, I'm thinking, I'm not sure if that one works. I was thinking honey butter again, but I'm not sure about honey butter. No, that does nothing for it. I'm just looking, I tried shortbread. Lemonade, I think, is going to be too yellow. Yeah, that's not going to work. Lemonade's not the right color. Lemonade's not the right color. Okay, I think that's all my yellows. So let me just see. So that's honey butter. I think that should work. Okay, so on the blue, let me just check. I'm gonna look at the pumpkin pie and just decide if I like the pumpkin pie on this one. I think I like the pumpkin pie better. Okay, so we're gonna do the pumpkin pie on that. And then I need a blue and a purple. So like I said, I'm using up my colors that I have in my stash. I am not trying to use, I don't have a whole lot of Stampin' Up colors, so that's why I'm going through my stash to decide what color I want to use. Okay, so that's too bright. Okay, so I think that would work. Okay, so there we go. That works for that one. So the last color I have is this color, and we're gonna see what we can find. Because it's a pinky purple, and it's not quite, that might work. Mulberry might work. Mulberry. Because royal is too bright. Yeah, royal is too bright, but periwinkle is too blue. And wisteria is too blue. Need more of a pink color, pinky purple. And mulberry looks like the only one that I've got. Oh wait, that might work. Okay, we're gonna go back into the vault, and we're gonna grab sangria. Okay, all right. So I think we've got our colors. There we go. So we're not going to use this one. We're going to use Rosy, Old Close to My Heart color, Sapphire, Old Close to My Heart color, and Sangria, Old Close to My Heart color. And we are going to use Pretty in Pink from the In Colors, and we're going to use Peach Pie from the In Colors. And I think that will give us a really nice combination to frame these guys out. So these are 2 by 10, and so I need to cut these pieces. I think I want a good solid border around them. So I think we're going to do 2.5 by 10.5. I think that'll give us a nice 1/4 inch border. I don't think we want more than that. So let's do 2.5. We'll cut this first one and decide if we want it bigger than that. 2.5 by 10.5. Okay, and let's grab this, and we're just gonna make sure that we like the size of that border. That's interesting. Did I do 10.5? It feels like that's longer. 10.5. Did I do 2.5? Oh, I did 2 1/4. I did 2 1/4. I think we need the half. I think we want the bigger border. Yeah. Okay, so pay attention to your numbers. I'm getting punchy, it sounds like. Cutting things wrong. 2.5 by 10.5. Okay, now let's see. Just double checking which one I like better before I cut any more paper. If I like the thinner border or if I like the thicker border. I actually think I like the thinner border. I think the paper gets lost on the thicker border. I think there's too much. Okay, so we're going to do 2 1/4 by 10 1/4. That's what we're going to end up with. So we're going to trim this guy down another 1/4 inch. Okay, 2 1/4, 10 1/4. That's our numbers. So 2 1/4 by 10 1/4. Okay, so that was sapphire. This is mulberry. Or sorry, this is sangria. I love this color. That's one of my favorite colors from close to my heart. I think this is a gorgeous, rich color. I think it's probably close to Berry Burst from a Stampin' Up color perspective. But I think it's just a beautiful color. Okay, so 2 1/4, 10 1/4. All right, and one last one, which is Pretty in Pink. Oops. There we go. Okay. I'm gonna have a lot of cleaning up to do in my office. Not today. That's gonna have to wait till tomorrow. I can already tell. I'm tired. I'm making mistakes and cuts and everything, and I can tell. I'm tired. But that's okay. That's okay. Okay, I'm gonna just put these all back in the bag and I'll deal with them later. I'm gonna take our papers and get those out of the way as well. Hopefully I didn't grab all of my base pages. There we go. I need my base pages, but we're gonna just take this and put it away and get it out of the way a little bit for right now. Okay. Okay, so this I don't need as well. Okay, so there we go, there we go, there we go. Okay. Perfect. So let's go ahead and put our pieces together and then we can start playing with the layout. So let's just get all the right pieces belonging to the right colorways. That's the wrong one. That one goes with this one. And wait. This goes with this one. Sorry. I'm getting my colors all mixed up here. There we go. Okay, so now let's adhere these down. So I do find that you can definitely find colors that are close enough from your stash to match. I know it's ideal to have the, you know, the same color throughout, but I do feel like it is important that people use up what they have as well. So part of this is showing how you can use old with new and how you can utilize your own inventory, and make things work. Um, because we do spend a lot as crafters buying things, and I really want people to use what they buy. Like I said at the beginning of this, you know, styles change. Things that you liked 5 years ago, you might not like now. So it's better to use what you have when you get it, when you like it. Sorry, I'm turning it over to the dark side, or the true side of Rosie. Because I think that you should, just double checking because I might need to change this guy now that I'm looking at it. That you really do utilize, you know, especially your consumable supplies. As soon as you, I can't tell which is light and which is dark. This is not. This is one. There is no difference. Okay. That uses, you know, the consumable supplies that you have, because like I said, there are things I look back in my stash where I go, oh yeah, not something that I really like anymore. And maybe I liked it at the beginning, or maybe I saw a really cool idea with it, and then I bought it, but then I didn't actually use it. So, you know, make use of the money that you spend on your supplies, and really try. Sorry, I put everything on the light side, and I wanted it on the true side. Try to spend time and use up those consumables like the papers, because I can guarantee you that styles come back, but I can also guarantee you that it might not be a style that you like anymore when it does come back. And so, you know, just attempting to use up what you bought is really, really important in my mind. Okay. So there we go. Okay, so now we've got our colors. Let's see. Making sure I've got this going all in the right direction. Like that. Okay. So let's, and we didn't use the green. Remember, I did pull out the green from this. So we're going to go ahead and start putting some things together here. Okay, so let's put this down. And let's do this one. Hopefully my adhesive is still hanging in there. Okay, so these two go on this side, and then on this side is going to be these three, like that. Oh, I think that looks good. Oh, I like that. Okay, so we're just going to lay our photos out. I did not put these on photo placeholders yet, because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. So I wasn't sure if I was going to add those on or not. And then what I did is 3 across here. So looking at this, I can guarantee I actually need something on these photos. So I do need to create some photo mats for these. So the question is, what is going to be the best photo mat? So I'm going to just grab the black and see if I like that. because I had all those black pieces left over, remember? Yeah, we'll do this. So I had a bunch of black pieces that I cut, and maybe I can reuse them here. If I don't think it takes away from the pictures, or from the patterned paper. And just looking at it, just objectively right now, I'm seeing that this actually should work really well. The black will work just fine with these. So I think we will do black photo mats, and one of them's already cut. So we're going to just stick this guy down because we have one that's cut perfectly for a 4x6. And then we have another one that's cut perfectly for a 3x4. So we can utilize those. And oops, that is crooked. There we go. And then this one we're going to cut down. This is a 4x6, but I need to cut it down. Just double check that it's 4 1/4. And it's a little less than 4 1/4. So it's 6. Do 6 here, and that should work. I don't know if that will fit this one. No, that's a little too small because that had both the 4x6 and the 3 1/4 or 3x4 on it. So this one, like so. Okay, so these pieces I can't use, so let's go grab a couple more. Okay, so this one I need, let me just see this, the width of this piece. Okay, we're going to just trim this down to 4 1/4, take a little smidge off of that, and then we'll do 3x4, 3 1/4. Do 2 of those. Okay, and then this is not big enough, so we need one more piece so that we can do all right. So this is okay, so this is going to be 6 1/4. By 4 1/4. Okay. All right. I think we've got all of our mats cut. And then on this one, again, title-wise, I'm not sure what I'm going to put as the title yet. So we probably won't put a title on this one, and I'll finish that up after the live because you don't want to watch me cut letters. But again, I'll probably use the alphabet a la mode because the letters are bigger and will be will cover up some of the will be a nice big space management, or space, not filler, but space, handling the space. Okay, so what I want to do now is I want to figure out my placement. Okay, so we've got our photo mats, we've got our pieces, and so what I think I'm going to do on this one is I'm going to come in 1/4 of an inch, or sorry, 1/2 of an inch from the right hand side. So I've got a little bit of a white piece here, and then on this one, so that ends at So this ends at, well, this is what, 1, 2, oops, 2 3/4. So I think I want to do a 1/2 inch. So I'm going to come in at, so I'm going to come in at the 9 1/4 here, down at the bottom. Again, giving that same 1/4 inch gap both between here and here, like that. That doesn't look straight. There we go. Like that. Okay. And then I can lay my pictures. Oh, this is definitely not straight. I can definitely tell that one's not straight. We need to fix that. That will bother me. I'm not too afraid of things not being straight, but boy, when it's that obviously not straight, that does bother me. Okay, and then we've got this guy here, like that. Okay, so same thing on this side. I'm going to do a 1/4 inch over, no, 1/2 inch here. And then from the top, I'm going to come over and I'm going to be at 3 1/4. And since I have a 3rd stripe on this side, I'm going to be at 6 1/4. So again, I'm just leaving a 1/2 inch in between each of these. This doesn't look straight. Did I get my numbers wrong? Yeah, that's a 1/2. Sorry, I think I got my numbers wrong. I think this is at 6. This is at 6. The 3rd one is at 6, not 6 1/4. I'm going to say my spacing does not look even. Okay, so 1/2 inch over from the left. So that takes it to 2 3/4. Then the next one's going to start at 3 1/4 and go to 5 1/2, and then 6 to 8 1/4. So hopefully that all makes sense. And then we have our 2 pieces here that are 2 pictures, which we are going to put over here on this side. Again, this one is super crooked. Boy, I am struggling with my pictures being straight on their mats. Okay, there we go. Okay, so that's going to be our picture layout. And then the title will go up here. And we will have our embellishments around. Okay, so bringing back in my sketch, you'll notice that I have some circles here. And the thought is that this could be like a subtitle or a date or something like that. And what I want to think about doing is I really want to use the Spotlight on Nature. This is a die set that is retiring. Spotlight on Nature is retiring, and I'm sad. This one I am sad about because I think this one is a super usable set, but the Stylish Shapes does have another nice circle that could be used. So I'm a little bit, I'm just trying to decide what I want to do here. Because none of my scraps are big enough. I want to look at the paper again and see if I have a good like that. I'm just trying to think of what color I could pull in here that would work with this stylish shapes. I really like the idea of pulling in this green. And so I think this pattern might be a little bit too much with that green. It kind of needs to be a solid. The other green that I have is this one, but I really like the brighter garden green compared to the old olive. So what I think I might do is I think I might use the stylish shapes instead. And we're going to cut a circle, the largest circle of the stylish shapes out of this. Okay, and this circle is, I need to cut this strip at just over 3 1/4, it looks like. Let's just take a look and see if we lay this down, if we can get away with 3 1/4. 3 1/4. Yeah, 3 1/4. I should be able to get away with 3 1/4. Again, just to save paper, I don't want to cut something that's too big. Okay. So we're going to take this and we're going to run it through our die cutter. And then we're going to need a white as well piece. So I'm hoping this works out, that this looks good. The nice thing is that 3 1/4 fits on this die or on this plate perfectly. You can go up to 3 1/2, but it's a little bit tight on 3 1/2. So, all right. Okay, so we're going to run this through my machine and we're going to see how this looks. All right. Okay. Yes, this is how I create, by the way. This mess where I lay things on top of each other is how I create. It's not, I wish I could say that I did something different, but I don't. This is kind of the way I create. Okay, so there we go. There's that. So now I need a white one. Now I wonder if I could do white, if that would work. No, that's the wrong one. It's the wrong size. That's too small. Sorry, I'm just looking through my dies to decide which circle I want to use. Because what I want to do is I want to create an inner circle like that. And I was thinking I might want to do something a little different from the dots and dashes. So next size down, let me just see if this one fits. This is well, it's only white cardstock. Let's give it a go. That's kind of my philosophy on white and black. Try it. If you don't like it, it's only white cardstock. And generally I have a lot of the white. It's only on the colored cardstock that I tend to be a little bit more picky about what I'm going to cut. Just because it is more expensive. Okay, so let's just take this. Let's see. Layer these two. Yeah, that'll work. That works. Okay, so that was a spotlight on nature die that I just used. Excuse me. Okay, so I do have a bunch of things I need to sort of punch out from this because I didn't clean out my die before I used it. So there's a bunch of leftover little pieces, so I'm going to just quickly punch those guys out. Okay. And we've got that. Okay, I like that. Okay, so then that's going to go here. So that's where we brought in the green that we didn't use before. And then we'll have green over here for the leaves. So I probably will actually just use the same pattern paper maybe for the leaves that are part of this Impressions A Bloom stamp set. There's a bunch of leaves, so I can do a bunch of cutting out of leaves using that same paper, which I tend to like to do. Okay, so now we've got to see where my other little pieces are for this one. Okay, there we go. Okay, so I already took a couple of dies. So the way that these dies work is there's a outside die, there's an inside die, and you can essentially just using the paper, you can get this sort of textured flower. It does feel a little flat to me like this. So from my perspective, I almost think like this does need the stamping in order for it to look the best. Now the thing I didn't test out yet is, let's see if this paper matches any of the dies. I don't think it does. But we're going to just do a quick test because I didn't think about this before. So I was just wondering if any of these, no, I don't think they do. Like, you probably could make it work and it would probably be okay, but it doesn't look like they are matched to actually cut out the papers, because they won't work on this paper, and the other papers, they're too close together. So I'm going to just double check that one last time, just looking at them. Yeah, just looking at this paper, it does not look like the dies will work officially to cut out any of the paper that is in this collection. So there are stamps that definitely go with this, and we've got, let me just see what I did with this. Let's just clean this up a little bit, and maybe we'll give this a try. Again, I apologize, not a whole lot of planning on my part for this. Let's see, this guy. The only thing I don't like about these two stamp sets, these Be Mine stamp sets, is that there's a lot of pieces that are similar. And so you got to remember which one goes to which stamp set. And I can't say that I'm probably going to remember correctly. Okay, so this one, let's open this guy up. Just trying to clean this up a little bit before we stamp again. All right. Yeah, see, none of these are going to fit where they're supposed to go. There we go. Get some faces off of here. Now we got wings. Okay, I have no idea where all these pieces went. I'm going to have to clean this up. Organize it after. Okay, get those out of the way. Okay, so let's see. We will take these again. These I will probably just put in the stamp case so that they're there for the next time that I want to use it. And then I've got this piece here from where I stamped. And I'm going to add some adhesive to the back of this so it stays in my little thing together. And we're going to match up some of our flowers here. So I'm not going to do this. This is a 2 stamp set. So there's a solid and there is a detailed. But because I did this on cardstock and cut it out already, I'm not going to. I'm just seeing. I thought this was going to fit, but this doesn't look like it is. Am I just missing it? Am I missing how it goes? Okay, we're going to put that one back. We're going to try the other 2. Maybe I'm just not getting it here. Okay, this one. Once you know which direction it goes, it's a whole lot easier. But see, that doesn't look like that fits either. But no, I guess it does. That one does fit, just like that. Okay, this one. Definitely is more this guy. Okay. Oops. There we go. Got to be careful that they don't stick to your hand as you are placing them down. That's the biggest issue I find, sticking to my hand. Okay, so let's just try this one more time, because I feel like maybe it does fit, but I wasn't. Yeah, okay, so it does. There we go. Okay, so again, the technique is that you get these centered where they belong in your piece, the piece that you die cut out. And then you bring your lid down and you pick up the stamps. You just want to make sure that your piece is staying in the spot where you lifted it up. So I'm taking these die cuts and I'm going to go ahead and just put a tad bit of adhesive on them to stick them down. And then we're going to stamp this, if we can get the thing in the right spot. There we go. And we're going to see how this turns out. Because we are already way over time. It's already, yeah, way over time. Okay, so the question is what color? So this is Pretty in Pink. I probably could do Pretty in Pink, but I feel like maybe I want to do a slightly darker color. So maybe Melon Mambo, which is one of the colors that is part of this set. So it's a little bit more of a color difference. And we're going to go ahead and give this a try. Again, testing it out. So inking it up. It's a pretty juicy pad. I'm going to close that so I don't get ink everywhere. And we are going to press this down. Okay. So that did not work the way I wanted it to. I will do one more pass, but I'm pretty sure I do not like these. This is a pretty intense color. I think it would work if I did this just as, if I hadn't die cut out the 2 pieces. But I can tell from here that this, because it's got the centerpiece has been cut out, that I really don't like how that looks. I might be able to use them underneath something, but I don't like the cutouts. or the texturing that was put on it. So I think it's one or the other, but not both for me. So with that, that kind of throws me into, okay, what do I do next? Because otherwise you guys are going to have to sit here and watch me die cut a whole lot of things that take a lot of time. And I don't want to keep you here any longer. And I want to make sure that I finish enough of this layout for you to be able to see kind of where it's going. And then I can show you it at the end with it being finished. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take this. We're going to, again, use our design, and we are going to put our pictures on, and then I will come back and I will do the embellishments later. Because I think that's, again, I'm going to have to cut a whole lot of things at this point, and I don't want to have people have to sit here and watch me cut a bunch of things. I'll do a few, but then we'll finish off as a picture later. So, oops, I lost another light, which is not good. Let's see if we can get some lights back here. Nope, that one's not going to stay on. I think we've lost all our lights, which is another reason maybe that we need to stop. Okay, so let's go ahead. I'm going to pop all these pictures up on 3D foam tape, because I do want all of these to have some elevation to them. And so we'll get that done. And remember, when I do foam tape, I make sure that I leave spaces on the top and bottom and on the sides so that I can stick things behind these pictures as well. So don't forget that that's something that you want to do when you're using 3D foam tape. Okay, so here we go. Get these down. And maybe what I'll do is, if I get time tomorrow, maybe I'll come back with another live tomorrow after I've had a chance to put all of, not put all of this together, but a chance for me to die cut a bunch of things, since that is not working. And then we can do the embellishments tomorrow. Maybe that's what I'll do, because I don't know, I have to get ready to go somewhere tonight as well. And so I don't know if I'm going to have time to do this evening. Okay, I think I like it there. Okay, so this is going to just slide under here like that. And again, I'm going to use this as another place to put a title or to put a date or something like that. And then the title will go up here, so I can also maybe die cut out my title to put up there and to finish off the other one. I think that might be what we do. Okay. Here we go. One of the things is I have those 2x2 squares as well that I might be able to die cut the flowers out of, and just not necessarily pay attention to the flower itself, but just that I'm using those little 2x2 pieces. Might have to think about that. All right. Well, here we go. This is going to be the most plain of all three to start with, and hopefully we can finish it up tomorrow. Once I get all the die cuts done, which, like I said, die cutting does take a significant amount of time, especially when you only have one die for each thing, the putting of it together to get it to look complete won't take us that much time. That doesn't really take time. Once you've got all the die cuts and you know what you want, that's really straightforward. Okay, so we're going to come to about there for that one. Again, you notice I'm not pushing down too hard until I get all of them on, just so that I make sure that I'm happy with the spacing. That one is not even. Okay. And okay. All right. So there is that layout. So like I said, I will see what my day looks like tomorrow, because I think I will have time to do all of the die cutting of the flowers. But it's essentially going to have clusters of flowers in 3 different areas. There'll be a cluster up here, there'll be another cluster over here, and then another cluster down here. I may switch that around. I may put a cluster here, and then a small cluster up there, just because this is where the white space is. So I think that would actually make sense to have a cluster here, and then something really small up there. And then the title will be right up there. So I think that'll be my plan. So I'll be just shifting around a little bit of this particular sketch. All right, so let's bring in the other 2 layouts so that you can take a look at them once again, in case you just joined and you didn't see me putting these together. So this is layout number 2, and we used the Friends of the Ocean and the Country Woods paper. This paper is sticking around in the new catalog. So the wood grain paper is sticking around in the new catalog, which I'm very excited about. Okay, so that was the what did I call this one? I don't even remember what I called this particular sketch. And it's buried somewhere. So that was these are the 2 by 6 inch strips, and then we've got a 4 by 12 over here. And then the first layout that we started this afternoon with was the bee paper. So having the bee paper using the hexagons, and then the bee punch and the bee stamps to create this layout, All the Buzz, our hive. So I appreciate anyone who joined, and hopefully you got a little bit of learning about how to put some of these layouts together. And like I said, both this one is the complete one. We need a title on this one, so I'll finish that up. And then on this one, if I get a chance, I will try and do a live tomorrow afternoon, and we can finish this one up once I get all the die cuts done. But I do think it's going to turn out really pretty once we get all those flowers on there. All right, everyone. Thank you. Happy National Scrapbooking Day. Don't forget, new catalog starts on May 6th, and the old catalog retires. A lot of the items in the old catalog are already on the last chance page of the website. There is double rewards points till the end of day today. And the price of paper does go up on May 6th. So the cost of cardstock goes up on May 6th, in case you didn't know that. So that's the cost just of everything is going up, and so we got notification that the paper cost for cardstock is going to go up on May 6th. All right. Well, if you have any questions, let me know. Happy to answer them. If I will plan to be here tomorrow as well to finish up that last layout with all those flowers. And have a wonderful evening. Hope everyone had a great day. Thanks. Bye.